All right, so ladies and gentlemen, this is a first. We've got our first female guest on Tales from the Table. Her name is Pearl's Girl. She lives down south here in Louisiana. So welcome to the show, Pearl's Girl.
Hi, Ed. Thank you. Glad to be here. It's an honor.
It's good to have you on. And this is another first is I know absolutely nothing about you and your craps play and why
Okay.
you like it. I mean, we don't know each other at all. All the other people that I've interviewed, I've had a connection or a friend of a friend, or I knew you and we don't know each other. We've never had the opportunity to meet up before. This is going to be interesting because I'm going to get to know you just like everybody else does. So,
All right. From the
all
get-go.
right,
Well,
from the get go, go ahead.
I'd like to say, I feel like I know you and Tintin because one night your casino tears came up on my feed, and I have been listening to you guys for over a year now for all of your casino tier podcasts, and very, very
Wow, thank
funny.
you.
Just want to say, I just tuned in to your Roll to Win Craps. I didn't know you had a Roll to Win Craps podcast as well. And I've been
Yeah.
hitting up all of the tales from the tables. So anyway, here we go. My real name is Melanie. I go by the
All right.
handle of Pearl's Girl, which I adopted from my grandmother, who I just adored and loved. She taught me so much when I was little. She taught me how to sew. She taught me all the proper things about growing up, morals and values. When she passed away, I took on the moniker because I started sewing, and I've been Pearl's Girl for quite a while now. Born and raised in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, around the 60s, and grew up with a blue collar father who worked at chemical plants. My mother was a housewife, and I have three other siblings. Went to Redemptorist High School. Um, and then when I graduated from college, from high school, I went to college. I went to USL for a while. And after
Okay.
I finished that, if that wasn't
That would
enough,
be that would be University of South Louisiana or
Southwestern, Southwestern,
Southwestern.
Louisiana.
Okay.
Yes. It is
Mhm.
now called U of L. It changed shortly, I think, after I graduated. So
And
I
that's
did
not the
that.
Raging Cajuns. That's not the
Yes,
Raging
it is.
Cajuns,
Yeah,
is it?
yes, the Raging Cajuns certainly is. They have a bulldog for a mascot. So
Okay.
I did that. I lived in Lafayette for about 5.5 years. Learned the culture. Had a great, great time. Lived in the dorms. I had a roommate that was from New Iberia, Louisiana, and I used to go home when I first started college, but I was like, no, I'm gonna stay here. So I'd go to New Iberia on the weekends and stay with her and her family, and just come back for when school started. I had lots of friends in Opelousas, Mamou, Crowley, Indian Bayou, having a great time going to all the festivals, the Frog Festival, the Rice Festival, the Crawfish Festival, any kind of festival that they had, I was there. I was living the life. At 17 years old, I left home.
Wow.
Yeah, I know, huh? So I eventually finished school there.
We're not as old as we think when we're 17.
I know you just
Did
feel
I
you.
did the same I did the same thing.
Yeah, you feel young
I did
and
the same thing.
immortal.
Yeah. Yeah,
The,
and you think you know it all,
yeah. So
and you don't know jack. So,
eventually, I moved back home and decided that that career was not my choosing. So I went back and did what I loved and should have done from the beginning, which was to be an artist. And I went back to I went to LSU to be a graphic designer, and
okay.
I spent 5 years there. And the let's see, it was the beginning I wrote some of this stuff down because I have a bad memory here. The beginning of January 1992, I decided it was time for me to leave Baton Rouge. I wanted to sow my wild oats. At this time, I was like 30 years old, and I was still feeling like I was like 17. I just finished college, and I told
Right.
myself, there's got to be something that out there for me. There's just got to be something out there for me. And I chose California, and I pulled up, I think a week after January the 1st in, California. I went with one of my coworkers. I was just kinda biding my time till I finished school. I was working at a restaurant called, Calendars.
What
I
part of California?
Hollywood. I went right to Hollywood.
Where else would you go?
I didn't know anything. I didn't know anybody, but we were 2 brave young girls. We're both in our 30s and set out to California. Actually, I had a 1969 Ford Mustang convertible that I drove down there because I love old cars. And
Yep.
I had gotten a little U-Haul trailer to, pull all my stuff behind it. I bought grandma's rocking chair.
Ladies and gentlemen, you've got a true Southern woman right here. I mean, she's probably driving a stick shift.
I did
She's
that for a
probably,
while too.
yeah, she's probably, she's hauling her own car all the way across the country behind a U-Haul. Perfect.
Well, the car broke down, of course, on the way. I had to end up getting a U-Haul truck and pull the car in California. And, it made it there and I had to get it fixed. It was the fuel filter. The fuel filter went out
Wow.
on it. So once I did that, I was ready to go. I drove that car for a couple of years while I was there. But anyway, I moved to California.
What color was your Mustang? I gotta know.
It was navy blue with a
Perfect.
black top on it. It had the guy who had it before had a, a little like a race car looking steering wheel that was wooden.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
it
I
wasn't
bet it
that
I bet it had I bet it had the little 289. Is it 289? Bet it had the 289 engine in it.
I don't know, Ed. I was just about the look. I'm a girl.
Ah, well, but you driving across the country in a Mustang with the top down.
I
Yeah, I figured, to give it a shot. My first car was a Mustang. It was blue. Wasn't a dark navy blue, but it was blue, black Landau top with had the 302. It was a
Okay.
71. I had a 71.
You
That
had
was
a
my first car.
71. I
Yeah.
really loved the Shelbys. I wanted a Shelby
Oh yeah.
TT, but, I paid a lot for this car at this time, like a fool, because I'm just out of college and I'm thinking I just want something nice and I wanna look good and, have my hair blowing in the wind and all this kind of stuff.
I love it. I love it. So you got all the way out to Hollywood. And by the way, I don't know if you know this. I mean, you mentioned Tintin earlier, but
Uh-huh.
Tintin, when I first met Tintin, his address was on Wilshire Boulevard, right
Okay,
there
I
in
know where that
Hollywood.
is. Yeah,
Yep.
I exactly know where that is. Yep.
Yep.
That wasn't a part of town that I hung out in too much, though I mostly hung out around, Hollywood, around Sunset, a little, town called Atwater Village, and then another, like, hippie, groovy little town called Silver Lake, which was where all the happenings were, all the bands and,
Okay.
all the nightclubs and all this kinda stuff, so that
Were
was my
were you a
hangouts.
were you a hippie? Were you a hippie?
Somewhat.
I was on the tail end of being a hippie. So I don't guess I was a hippie, but I was on the tail end of it.
Yeah. Well, I was on the tail end of being a hippie too, but I sure loved the hippie style. So, that was me.
Yeah.
But anyway.
What better place to be than California if you're gonna be a hippie, right?
All right. Yeah. So I got there was like I said, it was January of 1992. We don't have cell phones. You don't know what's going on. You can't just pick up your cell phone and call your parents and stuff. You have to have a phone, right? So we had met. Well, my friend that I moved with had met this guy who lived above a guitar shop on Sunset Boulevard, and it was on the corner of Sunset and Gardner. And you know that song "Down at the Sunset Strip"? Watching all the
Yeah.
ladies go by. I don't know who it's by, Don Adams maybe or something like that. I don't remember the guy's name. But anyway, I lived like literally a quarter of a football field away from that little Sunset Strip. And it's true. There were ladies
That would
down this.
be 25 yards.
Okay, 25 yards. There you go. All I had to do was
You
walk,
were next.
walk.
You're virtually next door.
Yeah. So we met this guy. She met this guy. And we moved in to this single apartment. No, it wasn't. It wasn't even a. It was a studio apartment. So there were three of us living in this studio apartment, and we all. I didn't have a job. My friend that I came with didn't have a job, but the guy that lived there, he had a job. So what we did was, of course, you had to go get the paper every day and look to see what jobs were available. And my friend got really lucky. She has a great personality. Everybody loved her. And actually she had decided to move to California because she had hopes of getting in the, comedian or acting business and so that was what her, inspiration was to move to California. Mine on the other hand was to get into arts, entertainment, media, maybe even, get into the film industry as a set designer, anything, having to do with arts. So I kept trying to pursue my graphic design career, and she didn't really have a career except that she was a waitress. And because she had such a great personality, she had no problem in landing a job right away. So she got her job first. I struggled a little bit, and I noticed that there was this guy that was right across the street from where I lived, and he owned a little printing business, and it was called Ink and Art. And he was this Swedish guy. His name was John Lindholm. So I walked over there and knocked on the, business door. I said, "Hey, I'm looking for some work." He said, "Okay, I'll hire you."
Ah,
This guy hired me. He was paying me $5 an hour under the table. So, okay,
yeah.
I
Oh,
did that for a
perfect.
while. And it kind of bid my time till I could get something substantial. So, a few months later, I landed a job in a town called Van Nuys. It was
Hmm.
quite a ways from my house, but it was a really, really, really good job. That's where I spent 8 years of my life. It was a pre-press company where they did. I don't know if you're familiar with how printing works or how it used to work.
Well, whatever. I'm
Right. So
there's
anyway, I got
books,
to okay, so
there's
okay.
magazines, there's comic books. That's about it.
Okay, I got you on that one then. We're even, right? I don't know about
Yep.
cars, but I know about printing. So anyway, I did that for 8 years. The company eventually went bankrupt because the printing industry went to what they call computer to plate, which was a you didn't need film anymore. And it kind of wiped our all the mom and pop shops out that were mostly taking on those tasks in the California area. So once I lost my job there, I had met a good chunk of people, and one of my closest friends, she was a music supervisor, so she was like in the music industry, and her and one of her friends decided that they were going to start a music publishing company. So she hired me. And I went on as their graphic designer slash, do what you can, office manager, recruiter for interns and, procurement, whatever it is that needed to be done because there was only three of us at that time. And so we built this company and it was great. She had a contract with some kind of, I think it was a Jesuit, I want to say school, but organization that gave them a lot of money to record the Bible the way that they saw it. So it was all audio recordings. So through that, she was able to build her company, and we moved from a house to Hollywood and Gower on the corner of Hollywood and Gower, and it was a huge building. I mean, it was a warehouse. It was gutted, and so they remodeled the whole inside of it and started bringing people in. And we had a catalog of music, and they would do showcases. And I think one of the biggest showcases that we had, it was around Christmas time, and some pretty big executives were supposed to be coming from Hollywood somewhere, and so they had it catered. It ended up being 300 people on top of our building. It was a rooftop, and it was a little chilly, so there was heat lamps all over the place, and musicians and DJs and food, and just a really great time. And that was one of the best jobs that I had. second best job that I had there. Um, but as of with anything, when you start a new company, there's no promise. So it kind of lost its flair and, it kind of went belly up a little bit, mostly up, belly up. And then I was, looking for another job. And you're going to laugh at this one, but I went to work at FedEx office print and ship center. And the reason
Okay.
why I'm going to laugh is because I heard you and Tintin talking about how Tintin worked for Kinko's, which is
Yes, he did.
FedEx office bought out uh, Kinko's.
He couldn't stand it.
Well, let me tell you what, I didn't like it either. But, I went through 8 years of that. I worked my way up. I was almost they wanted me to be a manager, but, the amount of stuff and stress that you had to go through was not worth $1 raise, which was what they were willing to give managers when they went from, just a regular person up to management position. So I said, "No." Just enjoyed myself. And then the latter part of my being there, let's see, that I guess that was around 2005, 2006 or something like that. I went to work for my friend again, who started her own music publishing company without the other partner, and she asked me to come on once again, and so I'm currently there now, but up until 2018, I had taken a break and I was in transition of finding a job, and I wanted to get back into my career and do what I like, and knew that I could make
Mhm.
more money. I don't want to say more money, but a substantial amount more. So I had gotten a phone call from my family, and they had said that my dad was diagnosed with was called cystic fibrosis
Okay.
because he was a smoker and he had worked so long in the chemical plants here in Baton Rouge, like with all the asbestos going into his lungs and everything, that
Right.
his lungs were pretty much crystallized, and they had given him like maybe a year and a half. And so I told myself, I had such a wonderful relationship with my dad. I just could not fathom him passing away without me not being there for the last part of his life. So
Of
packed up,
course.
I packed up all of my stuff, and I actually left California, and I had just bought a new car um at the beginning of
You got rid of the Mustang?
yeah, I did. In between that, I drove a little pickup, a Mazda pickup. It was like a Ford, but with the Mazda
Yep.
name on it. And it was small.
Yep.
And the reason I drove that was because I'm a very frugal person, and I see things. And when I see things, especially on the side of the street, I need a place to put them so I can bring them back home and make something with it.
Oh my god.
And
Are you a hoarder? Are you a hoarder?
no, I'm not a hoarder. I'm not a hoarder. I can tell you that.
How many cats do you have?
I had one cat, okay?
Oh, okay. Just one. Okay. All
But,
right. So you're not
I
the cat lady. You're not a cat lady. You're not the
no,
cat lady and you're not a hoarder. Okay.
not none of that. Actually, everything that I picked up off of the side of the road ended up turning into an art project. And the first real house that I rented with my I had supplied every single thing in my house except for a table and my bed. Everything else was supplied. I had a 1970 something Nova. That was my couch. It was on sitting on top
Ah,
of a one of those big old those trunks that was, you put all kind of junk in and you travel with.
yeah.
It
Yeah.
sat on
Yeah.
top of that, and I had it all bungee corded down and everything.
You are a hippie. You're still a hippie.
It's so funny because my brother today, when he sees things on the side of the road, he calls me, he says, Mel, I see this on the side of the road.
There's an old refrigerator over there.
No, he doesn't do that. He knows what I like. He knows what I like. So he calls me when he sees something that I might like. But anyway, so I packed I stuff up. I had just bought a new vehicle. It was a 2017. I still have it, RV. And the reason
Okay.
I bought it is because I knew I was going to be moving. and I did not want to rent a U-Haul and spend thousands and thousands of dollars because frugal me. I put whatever I could in that CRV, and I called up I called up my sister and I said, "Hey, do you want to drive back with me from California to Baton Rouge?" She said, "Sure." And I said, "Okay." I said, "Well, just bring one suitcase, right?" Well, as time got
Right.
closer, I started packing my car. I called her back. I said, "Don't bring a suitcase. Just bring a backpack." Bring a backpack. She laughed. She said, "What am I supposed to do? Have one pair of clothes?" Or anyway,
That's a solid 3-day drive at the
it
minimum right
is,
there.
it is, it is. We actually found a casino on the way coming here. I think it was in Fremont or something like that. We had stopped, and it was like 6 o'clock in the morning. We hadn't slept yet. It was the first night's drive, and we gambled for a little bit. Of course, they didn't have any tables or anything open, so I had to play bubble craps.
So how did you get all right, so you already were familiar with craps before that right there?
Well, okay, let's see. My first dealings with craps. Well, first off, my first dealing with gambling at all was going to Vegas. That was the first time I set foot in a casino was in Vegas. And my parents were at the age where they were driving all across country and stuff, and so I met them in Vegas cuz I was still in California at the time. I didn't know to be interested in craps yet because I didn't know anything about the casinos or anything. This was back
Right.
when, um, you go into a casino and they had these buckets, and I didn't even know about the buckets. I started putting my quarters in there, and I was seeing all this money come out, and I was like, "Wow, wow, wow!" And my mom tells me, "Go get a bucket. Go put your quarters in the bucket." So I started doing that, doing that, and doing that, and I didn't notice that my hands were getting black.
Get all dirty black on you real quick. Real quick.
So that was my first experience. That I guess was around the year, like maybe, I don't know, 2001, 2002, something like that. Maybe even a little later. But anyway, so what happened was I went back to California. I didn't think much about it. And then my mom and my dad started getting into gambling very, very heavily. They would go to this casino called the Paragon, which is in Marksville, Louisiana, and
Okay.
it's about, I guess, maybe an hour and a half from Baton Rouge, and they would take these trips. And so every year I would make a trip home at least once a year. And so the biggest highlight of the trip of me going home was one of the days we'd go to Marksville. And still didn't know about craps too much then, except that I went from slots to roulette. And I liked that feel of playing because it seemed like it was a little bit longer to lose your money as
Right,
opposed to,
right.
put your money in, lose, 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 lose. So I did roulette, and on one time that we went, there was this little bucket crap.
So you were telling us just now that after your trip to Vegas, et cetera, you didn't think much more about it, right? And then
Right.
so then what happened after your trip to Vegas? I mean, you liked roulette a little bit
Yeah.
more than you liked the slots.
Right.
And so
And
then what happened?
well, my parents got into gambling, and they were taking trips down to this casino called the Paragon, which is located
Right.
in
Paragon.
Marksville,
Is it still
Louisiana.
there? Is that still there?
It is. I haven't been there in like years. The very last time that I went, I think they were kind of struggling. As a matter of fact, we went there and there was not a whole lot of people there. And that time when I went, I won a lot on craps. And
Oh,
there was only two people, just me and this other guy. So the dice kept coming back and I kept hitting sixes. And he was like, "Yeah, yeah, you can shoot. You can shoot. Not me. You shoot." But that
smart
was,
guy.
yeah. And that was way after I had learned how to play craps. Getting back to how I got involved in craps was the very first time that I went there. I was playing roulette, and on the way out, we were getting ready to leave. Everybody was, doing their thing, and they were going to come and meet. Um, I saw this little tub, like a little table tub. And I was like, "Well,
Yeah.
what is this cute little tub here? And what are all these, boxes with these numbers in them? And what does all that mean?" So I walked up to the table, and it was $5 to play. So the lady, I said, "How do you play this?" And the lady says, "Well, you put some money and you get to roll the dice." And she kind of explained it to me a little bit, and so I put my $5 on the pass line, and she says, "Okay, roll." And I think I got a number, and she says, "Okay, well now you need a number." And she was all about trying to get me to spend my money. So
Right,
she
right.
encouraged me to place my more money on a number. And I rolled a few more times. That number never hit. Of course, I'm just tossing them, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I didn't know that a 7 meant, you lose.
It was over. Yeah, yeah, right.
So there went my money. And then they said, "Okay, let's leave." That was my very first experience with playing craps. And I was
So
like,
you walked away a loser your very first time.
my very first time, I was like, "Well, that wasn't any fun." So
That's terrible.
yeah, that's terrible. So when I would come home, every year after that, we would go back, and I would go back to that table, and in the meantime, of course, the game intrigued me. I started doing research, and I ran across the Golden Touch was some of the first videos that I saw on YouTube with Dominic, and the film, they're all kind of grainy, and they're very dated, and it's all about, you need to learn dice control. So very early on in my of craps, this dice control stuck in my head, and I started thinking about the mechanics of what dice do when they roll, and how could I make my I just could have sworn that I was going to be able to control dice. I was hell bent and determined to control my
Yep.
dice.
We're all there at some point. Yep.
Yes. Um, of course, I didn't have any way to practice. The only time that I got to practice was once a year when I went to, mom and dad's house, and we went to the Paragon. But in between that, I had taken, and I didn't even know there was different dice, you know, between dice that you just, I don't know, play a game with, and actual dice for the table. So I was playing around with just like regular old dice, the
Yeah.
ones with the
Like
rounded
Monopoly
edges.
dice.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, 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 and I played around with that a bit, but I didn't know anything about hand grips or anything like that. But I kind of developed my own style, of tossing. I thought to myself, well, I'm not just going to pick them up, and I'm not just going to shake them in my hand like this and toss them, because what you're doing is you're messing up a sequence of numbers that you want to get. I said, there's got to, so I'm kind of self-teaching myself, right? And then I see a bunch of YouTube videos about people, "Oh, let's do the helicopter throw," or let's do the, I don't know what Howard's rock and rollers, I can't remember,
Ha-
but I'll
Howard had so many tosses back in the day that you can't even keep up. I mean, he had a lot of good tosses, but his forte was his par toss, his original Jerry Patterson pendulum or off the deck toss, 3-fingered grip. The guy
Mhm.
was unbelievable, unbelievable.
I've seen some of his videos, and I've also seen some of, snippets of his training classes. And by watching your roll to win tales from the table with Howard, you showed a really fascinating picture for where someone had captured the dice in midair, and they're stuck together, and they look like they're going to land a hard way. And I was like, "Oh my god, I only could dream of throwing like that," you know?
That's classic. That's classic Howard right there.
Yeah. So, I spent
Now
a
they might
whole
have been glued together. I've never gotten the full
they
story on that.
probably were, because somebody said something when they took a picture one time, they might have done that just for show, but,
Yeah. I've played with Howard before. I've seen him toss, and he was good. He was really, really
yeah.
good.
I don't know how people can do it, really. I mean, it's just like, well, for one thing, I think I have a little bit of a disability. I'm gonna show you. One of my fingers my little finger, I'm left-handed, so one of my fingers is like really shorter. It doesn't
Yeah.
come up, a whole lot, and it's crooked, and it goes to the inside. So these are the 3 fingers that I have to deal with because this one just sticks out like that. It doesn't wanna do anything. And I think that was the same. I just got through listening to Gargile's Tales from the Table with you today, and he said he had a bit of a time trying to figure out a good grip for him, and he had developed someone saw it and said it was a great shot that he has now. So, but I'm still sort of working on my grip because I'm left-handed. I started off playing on the stick left, and what I tried to do was something similar to what the par toss is: the grip, and then pendulum swing, and then letting them go, and then hitting them like 5 or 4 inches from the back wall, and then
Right.
hopefully they'll come back a little bit and make a nice landing. And I did that for a while. I did that for a real long while, and I didn't feel like I had that much control over it though. So just recently,
You should have been at stick right, probably.
yeah, I went to stick right, and I was like, because I felt like when I threw, I was like this, you know what I mean? My hand was like wavering like that. So I just recently moved over to stick right, and it has been a little bit better. I'm still working on trying to adapt to that. But I noticed one thing: I'm not really comfortable with distance. I'm still working on distance because when I started craps, I was playing at these little tubs, on these little tubs. When I eventually moved down here to Hollywood, to Louisiana, I was going to what at the time it was called the Hollywood. It was a boat. There's 2 boats in Baton Rouge right now. Well, they're both gonna be gone in a little bit. The Belle and the Hollywood. And the Hollywood has been bought by Bally's. So they got rid of their boat and they turned it into what's called the Queen. And
Okay.
the Belle is now owned by Bally's as well. Excuse me. And the Belle is being remodeled and reconstructed. They're putting it on land and they're taking it away from the boat. But I only go there for blackjack. But getting back to the Hollywood had they had 2 tables. They had this, I think it was like a 16-foot table, like a big
Oh, that's a
table.
long one. Oh, that's a
Yeah.
long table.
Yeah.
That's a long.
Yeah, well, they had to fill up a lot of people, you know what I mean? And they had a little tub. They opened up the tub like late at night, but mostly the big 16-foot table was in the boat. And because they would get a lot of people. I mean, sometimes it was 2 and 3 deep just waiting to get on to that table.
Right.
But I really liked and had gotten accustomed to the tub. And I'll tell you why, because it was a shorter distance for me, and I had developed this shot that I felt very, very, very comfortable with. And I used the 3V a lot. I hardly ever changed it up. I would hit a lot of hard ways, and somehow I would hit six a lot. And I'm going to tell you what, I did really, really good on those small tubs. It was really sad to see it go away. Actually, at the new Queen now, which was the Hollywood before, they have a tub in the smoking area, but they never ever hardly open it up. So now, if I want to play craps, there's 2 places to play. There is the Queen, and then there's another casino called the La Berge. And
La Berger.
yeah,
Yes. La
I don't
Berge.
go to La Berge. One thing, it's pretty far from my house. Not pretty far. It's just we always say, but it's across town. And traffic now in Baton Rouge is since Katrina is kind of unreal. So one end of town to the other, you're pretty like it's not worth it to go. Another thing about La Berge is they're not they're not that friendly. I don't find they're that friendly.
I heard that. I heard somebody else tell me that.
Yeah,
So let me ask you a couple quick questions. All
yeah.
right. So is La Berge, if we want to be French, we'll call that La Berger.
Okay.
Is that in Lake Charles?
No, well, there is one in like there's two. There's one in
Okay,
Baton
that's what's
Rouge.
got me confused. Okay,
Okay,
that's what's
there's
got me
one in
confused.
Baton Rouge off of the River Road, like past LSU. I'd say about 5, maybe 6 miles from LSU, from the LSU campus. But it's on the actual River Road. It's a building though. It's not a boat or anything
Yeah,
like that.
yeah,
And then there's also one in Lake Charles. So they have two. I don't know if they're owned by the same people. I think Penn owns
probably.
them. Penn owns this one here. I don't know if the one in
Probably
Lake Charles.
pin gaming. Probably, yeah. I don't know. I really don't know. I have never been to Lake Charles. I've heard a lot of. I know a lot of people that play there.
Uh-huh.
I've played in two places in New Orleans or in Louisiana out of my whole life. One was in New Orleans.
Harrah's.
Well, back in the day, they didn't have a Harris. It was boat on the
Really?
Mississippi River. Yeah, you'd get on
Okay.
a paddle wheeler. You'd get on a paddle wheeler, and they'd cruise around on the Mississippi River for a few hours, and then come back, and you could get off or stay or whatever you want to do. I just stayed and stayed and stayed until they quit running the boat. Um, Obviously Harris now down there just off the French Quarter is there, obviously.
Right.
Well, it's not even Harris now. They renamed it to Caesars. So
Really?
they've renovated it and made it quote unquote a Caesars.
I didn't know that.
And yep, the other one is off of I-20 headed towards Dallas, Bossier City.
Yes, in Shreveport. I've been there.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, my parents really love gambling. So we go everywhere. So
I had to make a few trips driving to Dallas, and so I'd use an excuse to stretch my legs to get off and go play craps for an hour or two, and then head on to Dallas.
okay, who
So
bought that one?
who did what?
Who bought that excuse?
I did. That was my excuse. I was in the car. I said, I got to stretch my legs. I'm getting off at Bossier City.
You were the only one. Okay.
I was the only one in the car, so it didn't matter.
I thought you were trying to convince someone.
Nah, I just used that as my excuse.
Okay.
Then, the people say, what took you so long to get here? Well, I had to stop, stretch my legs in Bossier City for a little while.
Yeah, that's the Margaritaville, and there's like another one. I forget what the name of it is.
I couldn't tell you. I know they're not far. They're right there off the interstate there at the river. So
Yeah.
that's all I can remember. I picked one
Yeah, we
both
stop
times.
there when we go to Dallas. We have relatives in Dallas, so.
All right. So I interrupted you, but yeah, I wanted to clarify the Labergé
All right, yeah.
and all that. I wanted to get that straight. So there's two of them in Louisiana.
Yep, that's correct. And as I was saying, the La Berge I stay away from, and I usually just go to either the Queen to play craps, or I'll go to the Bell, which is under reconstruction right now, and so the casino is like in the walkway. I don't know how to explain it, but it looks pretty trashed out, pretty dumpy. But I go there because I've taken an interest in blackjack, and it's only $5 a hand to play blackjack at the Bell. So it's a good learning, amount of money that you can spend to learn.
Right.
I still love playing craps. I totally that's what I the reason that I go to the casinos for craps for sure.
So how long have you actually been taking craps, at least seriously, somewhat seriously?
Well, just I guess maybe in the last maybe like 2 years. I've been trying to like really better myself. And the thing about it is that I don't have a practice table. I don't
Oh, that hurts. That hurts if you're trying to be a shooter. That does hurt.
I
Yes.
know that's the crazy part about it because I should try to devise something. Um I thought about it. I do have there's a time whenever I was trying to teach my mom and my sisters and my brothers how to play craps. And for a while there, I was going over to my mom's house and I bought I bought this I bought this thing right here. You know what it is, Ed? It is a tablecloth from Party City.
Ha! That's
Tablecloth.
funny. I've never seen one there. Yeah.
Then it has
For the 11, it has 15 for one. It has two 11s up there, which is wrong.
Yeah.
And
Totally
it
wrong.
has in all the hard ways it says 10 for one. So they have the wrong prices, the wrong numbers on it. But I used it, and my mom has like an 8-foot long table at her house. We set up, I even bought the diamond. I bought a piece of diamond.
Yeah.
I put it on one end of the table, and I took two pieces of styrofoam board behind it so that the dice wouldn't fly off, right?
Right. Right.
And I had a piece of plastic tablecloth underneath the table, underneath this tablecloth. And I had bought chips and canceled dice. I had bought all of that stuff, and I taught them how to play craps. Of course, I loved it, and I could have
Yeah.
played it all the time, but they weren't too into it. And so it kind of canceled my ability to even just practice on an 8-foot table.
Right. What do you think your longest session has ever been?
Well, I've gone up to 20 rolls or more. I've actually tested myself. I count. Well, here's the thing. For a time, I thought to myself, well, the longer I roll, the better chances that I will be able to hit some of my numbers. So I wasn't really paying attention to what numbers I was rolling. I was more into the fact that I wanted to roll longer instead of
Right.
really focusing on what numbers are hitting, right? But I
Of
tested
course.
myself. I've gone up to like 20, 25 rolls in a session. I have won the ATS twice in my life.
Okay.
I've come
Congratulations.
I've come very, very close a lot of times to getting the ATS.
Yeah.
I was at the LaBerge one time, and there was a full table. And Ed, I was one number. One number. It wasn't even the 12 or the 2. And I was one number from
That
get
happens.
I know, huh? And this girl that was standing on the right side of me, she said, "Oh my God," she says, if you hit this number, I'm gonna give you $200." And the more people kept putting that stress and that pressure on me, that it just sort of built and built and built. And then at one point, the pit boss stops me and says, "You're taking too long to shoot." Because he knew that had a strong possibility of getting that number, because my roll before that, I only needed 2 numbers. So he knew that I was pretty good, like, at being able to, get close to getting the ATS. And he
Right.
gave me so much grief that that and that girl putting that pressure on me, I just it didn't happen.
Well, that girl should have kept her mouth shut.
She
Number
should have
one.
kept, yeah, but,
That brought attention to the box guy, and that just added to the heat, and that added to the pressure.
exactly, exactly,
So, yeah.
exactly what happened. But the funny thing is the whole time I was at the table, when my next time around, because it took a long time, Ed. I mean, the table was just packed, and it took a long time for the dice to come back around me. I noticed everybody put big, large amounts on their on their ATS. It's like,
Yeah.
okay. So, but
What do you normally play it for?
if I'm shooting 555, that's the highest I'll
There you
go,
go. Okay.
because I want to try to make my money on something that I know that's going to stay up there until I seven out. You know what I mean? I mean, that's going to stay up there till I seven out also, but I want the opportunity to be able to make some money and not just, play just the ATS.
Yeah. All right. So, what's your normal bet when you're starting out? You got a 555. You probably got a $15 on the pass line.
I
I'm
got
assuming.
15 on the pass line, and I'll go anywhere between $3 to $6 for a three-way.
Okay. So you
So
do a
that way
three-way
I can cover
craps.
my 3 and 12 and 2.
Yeah.
Um, well, if I have 555, yes, I'm gonna play 6 because I want it to cover it.
Right.
And then after I establish a number, I'll have to tell you, I took your, well, I don't want to say I took your advice, but
Don't
you
give
were
me any credit.
I
I don't
know.
deserve it.
Well, yes, I'm going to give you credit for this because you were talking about number sets, right? Sets on your dice and
Right.
stuff. And I started throwing the 6, 5, 5, 6. And dude, I get more like 2s and 12s and 3s than anything. So that is my come out roll. That's my
There you
dice
go.
set for the come out roll. And it has worked relatively well for me. So I do credit you for turning me on to those numbers.
Well, it's not a bad set if you're gonna, if you all you're trying to do is just single pitch right into one of those horns. That's all you're trying to do. Now, Tintin throws that set his whole session sometimes.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
but he throws into the turn or into the hook over there. So from stick right, he throws across the table into the turn.
What
So
does
it kind of
that
scatters.
what does that do? That scatters them, right?
Yeah, it kind of breaks them up. So he's, and I do that too, but I usually use a 3V or something in that turn. But for me, everybody throws different. So, everybody throws different. Everybody's release is different. Their arc is different. All that kind of stuff. So I'm trying to coach him up too.
Yeah.
He's pretty good. I played with him quite a bit. I played with him a couple of weeks ago, and I'm going to play with him next week in
Awesome.
Vegas.
I'd like to meet Tintin someday. And
I hope you will.
I'd like to meet Gargoyle and Memo and Heavy and all those good guys out there that, I really enjoy listening to. I've learned a lot, actually.
They're still out there. Memo's one of my favorite, just general all around good guys. I mean, you're just not going to meet a better guy than Memo. Not to take away from anybody else. He's just a solid person, great to play with on a table.
Mm-hmm.
Gargoyle gets a little more temperamental with things going on at the table.
I see.
He doesn't like anybody buying drinks or people coming by or cocktail waitresses.
Oh, right.
He doesn't want any of that stuff coming around.
Yeah.
Heavy's been around so long, he can just kind of push all that aside and
right.
Unless he sees some kind of disturbance, quote unquote disturbance in the force around that table, then he just he just keeps going. But people get into an argument over some silly $1 or $2 center bet, then that's a disturbance.
Right.
You turn your bets off on that kind of thing. There's just a lot. The craps community guys and gals that I know are just great people. I know people all over the country and enjoy playing with them. We enjoy playing together whenever we can. You should come down to the Brownwater Bash next May over in Biloxi.
It's in May in Biloxi?
Yes.
I'll try. I'll actually try. I'll keep listening to when you guys, the dates and everything, and I'll try to make
I can tell you right now, it's the weekend after Mother's Day in May.
Weekend after Mother's. Okay.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Okay.
That's the weekend. Now, it's not a, all it is, I mean, we had 70, 75 people show up last year.
That's a lot.
And they come from all over the country and they just go play craps. They meet new friends, make friends, see old friends. There's no real quote unquote program or anything like that. We do, I do a meet and greet on Saturday afternoon just so everybody can kind of get into the cocktail lounge there, and we just kind of all get to meet each other, spend a couple of hours in there. But every rest of the time, it's just go play crap somewhere with whoever you want to, wherever you want to.
Right.
And there's
That sounds
no
like
charge.
A lot of fun.
Yeah, there's no charge. I mean, everybody just gets their own comps from whatever casinos they can get their comps at, and I just say show up at 2:00 at the VIP lounge at the Hard Rock, and they all show up. So,
all right. Well, I'll definitely keep that on my calendar. Try to see if I can.
That's when that is. It's a big gathering usually. It's grown every year. The first year we had like 30, and then it went into 40s, and then last year I think it was around 70, 75 people showed up.
Try to get Tintin to come. You think he'll come? Tintin,
Not for the
come to the
brown.
brown water.
He won't come to the brown water bash.
Oh, man. Okay.
He hates to fly.
Yeah.
He hates to fly.
Oh,
That goes back to his band days when they were traveling and flying and everything. You know, they were,
I imagine.
yeah. His band was like really popular in Japan and other places. So they were going across long flights. He hates it.
Okay. I see.
He is
Yeah.
going. He is going to come down when we're doing a casino tiers event for our classes down there in January, and he's coming
Oh,
down for
okay.
that.
All right.
January and July he'll show up, but I think he'll show up in July. We'll see. But
Yeah.
January he's planning on being there, and then the brown water bash. That's just fun. That's just something I do,
Yeah. Yeah.
just as an appreciation for people that watch the channel and that kind of
Mhm.
thing.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun. Meet a lot of people. Got to be careful. There's a lot of players down there, and you get caught up playing all the time. You lose your money if you ain't careful.
Oh, I can imagine. Yeah, you want to play with this person or be around and play with that person. I totally understand. You have to be
Yep.
kind of pick and choose what times you want to play,
Yep.
and
You
let
do.
the money dictate, when you can and how long
Yeah.
you can.
So, what is your favorite casino? Is it La Berge or La Berge?
Well, I don't, like I said, I prefer not to go to the La Berge.
It's because you don't feel welcome
Well,
or don't fit
okay.
in or whatever.
Yeah, I
Yep.
don't want
I
to
got
tell
it.
the story. I don't want to tell anything bad
I know.
about the place.
I've heard different things, and I know somebody who stopped in there back in
Yeah.
the middle of the summer, and he's like, I've never been so out of place in my life as I was
Let's
right
just
there.
say this.
He had people literally tell him that you don't need to be in here.
Wow.
Somebody said, this is our table. You don't need to be here.
Wow. Well, I've been told things by the pit boss. Let's just say that they cater to the wealthy.
Yeah.
When you're betting, $15 on the pass line and this other person is betting $650 on the pass line, then they don't care about you. That's all I'm going to say. So that's why I
Yeah.
kind of stay away from there. I really don't prefer any. I haven't really found. I mean, my only options for craps is basically the queen. So if I want to play craps, I have to play there. However, I was mentioning that the Bell is under reconstruction. They'll be opening up at the end of December, maybe January or February. They are going to have craps tables. They're going to have I think they're going to be comparable to what the Queen is. The Queen is it's smaller than the LeBerge. The LeBerge is bigger, it has more tables. LeBerge has, let's see, it has three $15 tables and I think two $25 tables. The Queen has one $15 table and one tub in the smoking rooms. But they don't open up the tub in the smoking room. I don't understand. Actually, pardon me. They have two $15 tables, big long tables, and one little tub in the smoking room.
I want to play the tub.
I do. I love the tub. It's perfect for me. I feel like I don't have to struggle to get the dice, down to the end, and it's just like I can do a softer shot on the tub than I can on the 16-foot table. I feel like I have to just, really, I won't shoot it straight out because it is just ridiculous for me. I don't know how guys do it, I know how they do it. They don't do dice control. They don't try to do,
Right.
they don't try to do
It's
dice
hard.
influencing
It's
at
hard
all.
to get much. It's hard to get much control or influence on those really long.
Yes, it is.
I mean,
Even
you've got
at
to.
one,
Yeah.
right or left,
Yeah. Yeah. If you're shooting from the end on those aircraft carriers like that, it's tough.
But I've seen it all, Ed, just in my little, last couple of years that I've really, really, really gotten into dice, into craps. I've seen people just pick dice up and chunk them. I've seen them pick them up and chunk them off the table and continue to chunk them off the table and not change anything about their throw. I've seen people set the dice to what they want them to be, and then they scoop them up in their hand They
And then
shake
shake
'em.
them. What different? What
What?
good does that do?
What are you doing? Wasting time. First off,
Yeah.
oh,
Set the dice, pick them up, and then shake them, then throw them. I mean, that
mhm,
makes no sense. Absolutely
right.
no sense.
Yeah. I've
I've seen
actually
that.
gotten to, because the table gets so packed and there's so many chips on the table. If it comes to my turn, I know where I want to hit. I know where I want my dice to land. I can pretty much get them in that general area. And if there's people that have money on the pass line in that area, I'll ask them to move it. I'm not shy at all about saying, can you move can you either go to the left or the right with your chips? And they'll do it,
Yeah.
they will
Yeah.
do it, because I don't want to
Good for you.
change, where I'm aiming. So,
Good for you. Good for you for
yeah,
doing that.
there's not a whole lot of women that,
There's not. That's one of the reasons I was excited to get you on here like this was to
yeah,
you're our first female interview person. So
yay.
ecstatic,
So,
ecstatic that you jumped on here.
yeah,
Yeah.
and being around a lot of guys, I have to stand my ground and be tough. I've had people look at me and, they did their roll and, they rolled 5 times, and then, I get the dice and it's a bad day. The dice aren't doing any good, and, I'll shoot, I'll 7 out after 5, and then they give me this evil eye, and then I look at them and I'm gonna say, "You know what? You didn't do any better." I say it. I say say, if they're gonna give me flack, I'm gonna give them flack back. So,
Yeah. There you go. Good for you. I
yeah,
like that.
yeah,
I like that.
yeah. But I've had some wonderful times. I've met a lot of nice people.
Hmm.
I know all the dealers. I try to bet for the dealers. I try to engage them, because just tipping them, they're not gonna. To me, I feel like if they have enough money on a number, they're gonna pay attention and they're gonna want you to hit that money. They're gonna want
Oh
you to
yeah.
hit that number.
I've never had any of them say I'd rather have a hand in than a bet. They all
Yeah,
want to bet. Yep.
yeah. So I try to do that. I'm very conscious about that. The very first time I won the ATS, it was at the LaBerge. This was before all that bad stuff started happening and where I'm staying away from. It was really kind of funny because I hadn't really, 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 committed myself to learning craps or being that involved in craps. I was just like, I was still, putting my dice, setting my dice how I wanted them. And my sister had come with me because she likes to play the slots. And so she comes up to the table, behind me, and it's pretty busy. And, I was shooting and I was getting the numbers. I had at this time I was playing, I think it was 2, on my ATS. I hadn't graduated to 555 yet. I wasn't that comfortable with myself yet, so I was doing
Yeah.
212. So about the time that my sister walked up, I needed one number. I needed the 11. I needed the 11. And she said, "How you doing?" I said, and I kept winning. I kept rolling the 6s and the 8s and stuff. I said, "I just need one more number." She says, "I don't understand what that means." She says, "I have to go to the restroom." I said, I said, "Well," she had been there a few minutes and I was winning 6 and 8. I said, "No, you can't."
Yeah. You got to stick around now.
You're my good luck charm. I made her stay, Ed, and I threw the 11. I threw the 11. That was the very first time. And then the second time that I won the ATS, I think it was on like a Sunday night, and the table was pretty packed. And then all of a sudden the dice went cold and everybody left except for me and this other guy. And I thought to myself, okay, maybe it'll change. So that guy rolled, I put out some money and he rolled a few, maybe 6 or 7 times, right? He sevened out and then he left. And I was there by myself. I was there by myself.
Wow. Nice.
And I had just finished listening, I think it was that day, to a conversation that you and Tintin had on your Casino Tears podcast. And you were talking about your stance. And you were
Yeah.
talking about how you prepare yourself and how you focus. And you said that once you get into a certain stance, you do not move your feet. You
I
do
don't.
not.
I never do. I never do.
Okay, let me tell you what I did. I took that to heart. I brought that to the casino that night. Once I planted my feet, this time I was playing at stick right? Because I had learned I need to go to stick right. I planted my feet. I was by myself. I rolled the all smalls. And then they looked at me and they were, there was one, two, three, there was four, no, one, yeah, four people, the pit boss, the two sides and the stick man. And they were like, wow, okay, okay. And so, I had put them on the number, so they got $35.
Yep. They were happy.
And so they gave me the dice, and in my head, and sort of out loud, I just kept saying, well, okay, all I need is this number. Okay. And then I'd hit that number. And then lastly, it came to all I needed was a 12. And so they handed me the dice, and every time I picked up the dice, I hadn't moved my feet at all. I hadn't changed my
Yeah.
position. I was just like, so focused because there was nobody there. Nobody.
Right.
And I picked up the dice every time and I said, okay, I'll just keep rolling until I roll a 12. I'll just keep rolling until I roll a 12. I did that 3 times. And on the 4th time, I rolled the 12. And I was like, oh my
Fantastic.
God. I didn't have anybody to celebrate with but myself and the dealers. But of course,
Yeah.
they had won $175 because I put 111 for them.
Yeah.
So they were excited. And then I went on to roll another side. Then I
Very
yeah,
nice.
yeah.
Very nice.
Then I eventually sevened out. But those are the only
That was
2
a
times.
nice roll right there.
Okay, so let me tell you about my whole day there that day. Okay, so after I won that, I had almost two grand in my pocket, right? It was
Yeah.
13.90 or I don't know, well, close to that, and what my buy-in was because I had won that. I turned around and I said, wow, it's only like 8 o'clock. Let me go see what else I can get into, right? And everything that I did, everything that I touched, I won money in. I went to the slot machine. I won $100 on one of the slot machines. And then I told myself, okay, well, let me go to the blackjack table. I went to the blackjack table. I turned one of the what they call the tops, and I made 13.90 again. I left that casino with over 4 grand that night. That's the
Nice.
biggest
Very
amount of
nice.
money that I have ever won in my life in playing craps or any casino, games or anything like that.
Right.
So I put it to good use, though. That's for sure.
Congratulations. That's
Thank you.
awesome.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's awesome. It's fun when that stuff happens. There's sometimes you walk into a casino and everything you do is a winner.
Yeah.
Then there are other times when it's not.
Yeah. Exactly.
But
Exactly.
it's
Not to say I haven't had many losses because I've had that, Everybody does,
oh yeah.
you
Oh yeah.
know. But from the way that I would really like to, my thing is I really need to try to learn like betting strategy better. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
the thing that I have been noticing mostly is I pay attention to what numbers are rolled because you taught me that through your podcast. What numbers are rolling are the numbers that you should play. And I have found that I've tried to work all kind of strategies though. Sometimes I go in there and I only have $100. So I never play the pass line when I have $100. I never shoot when I have just $100. What I do is I let somebody else shoot and then I'll choose either a side bet 6 or 8, the big 6 and the big 8. But what I'll do is if they don't roll it well, first off, I let them roll, get a number, then put it on the 6 or the 8. If they don't roll a 6 or 8 in the first 2 or 3 rolls, I take it down. I wait till the next player comes.
Okay.
One time I started with a paper ticket for $15 and I did that strategy. I waited. They got a number. I put it on the 6. It rolled. I won $15. The next time I took, and then what I did was I took that $15 and because the 6 had rolled, I tried the 8. I put it on the 8. It rolled. Then I took it down and I put it on the 9. I was just playing flat bet. I wasn't,
Yeah.
upping anything. I went from $15. At this time, the pit boss the pit guy got up from the table and he came over and kind of stood by me because I think he was watching what I was doing. Because I went from $15 paper to $126.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Nice.
okay, yeah, all right. And then I took off.
I don't know why they do that. I mean, that $126 ain't going to break them at all.
I know, but I think he was perplexed at what my strategy was. Sometimes I feel like once a number rolls, it's not going to roll again unless they're consistent rollers. And these people that I've seen that I'm doing that with, I know are not consistent rollers. So I'm taking that chance by moving that stuff around.
So do I fuss at Tintin enough, or do I need to fuss at him more?
You two guys crack me up. My God, it's just hysterical. Just some of the things that you guys come up with. I just sit there rolling and rolling. I especially love the stories that you guys tell. I mean, just everything. It's like you know how when you were a kid and you liked a certain TV show that came on and you made sure that you were home and watched that TV show? Well, I can't tell you. Every Tuesday, I am so excited. I'm very excited to hear the podcast and what you guys are going to say. It just brings joy.
It's never scripted.
That's
We
good.
have no, we'll go, okay, we're going to talk about something, whatever. We kind of got a topic, and then we just go wherever it goes. Wherever it goes, it just freaking goes. It's
Right.
weird. It's funny.
And you guys have gotten off topic so many times. I'm hearing you talking about Green Acres, and I don't know.
My favorite was my volleyball team. I was picking all my Hollywood sweethearts for the volleyball team.
Barbarella and Jane Fonda and I don't know, Hayward.
I don't think I picked Jane Fonda.
I was like, oh my God, what does this have to do? I saw some in the comments. It says, what does that have to do with craps?
It doesn't. It's the crap show that's about craps, but it's not always about craps. I mean, it just depends on where we go with it. And it's funny. I mean, it's so funny. I mean, we can't not air it because it's just funny.
Okay, I have to tell you something.
Okay.
The very first time I saw a post of the Casino Tears billboard, I honestly thought it was fake. Is it fake?
Nope, it's real.
It's not, because I had commented, I put awesome. Too bad it's not real. And I edited my comment because I didn't know for sure if it was real or not. I took the too bad it's not real off of there because I was like, man, I don't want to get in trouble with these guys.
It's real. It's real. It looked a little, I mean, I understand. A lot of people thought it was fake at first.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then I said, well, go get me selfies. And people were starting to send in selfies with it. So it's still up. It's been up over 60 days. I mean, we only had it up for 30, but they haven't taken it down. Nobody's repurchased the board and they've left it up.
Yeah.
So
awesome.
It was up last weekend when I was in Vegas. I got to see it. So
that's good. It's
right there outside of the entrance going into the airport in
Yeah. That Tintin man, he's up to he's in marketing anyway, right? He's kind of good at that stuff.
That's what he does for a living. That's his business is marketing and getting promos and billboards and all that kind of stuff. So that's his business. That's
right.
His business.
Yeah.
I don't have anything to do with it.
Yeah. Right.